car horn outside my window. I hear the screen door squeak. My baby walks in, says, get up of that pillow. Daylight's burning as we speak. Up and away. Let us skip this town. Up and away. I can't wait to be sunshine bound. Boardwalk stand for heaters. Late night margaritas. Let's skip town today. Up and away.
Got a little sundog activity just to our south here earlier, about an hour ago, and that's due to ice crystals up in the atmosphere. In those cirrus clouds aligned the same way and moving right along. New book came in today about 6 hours ago. So if you haven't picked up a copy of this, definitely do that. This is more of a workbook type thing. It's not going to show you how to forecast, but it does have a whole stack of charts in here you'll be able to use over maybe a couple months or a year. So yeah, there's stuff you would definitely use on a chase day or just a regular forecast day. As promised, I've been busy with digital atmosphere. You can see a little bit of the station identifier work that has to be done. I worked on this pretty late last night and earlier this morning. And I got a couple of book gifts also from one of my viewers, or could be one of my customers. And they sent me, I guess they probably know things have been stressful here. October has been pretty difficult here, but things are looking a little bit better here. Nothing serious to worry about, just, the usual work stuff. It has been busy. And we've got storms out here in Oklahoma. So this is a nice change. So they're pretty much lined from about the Tulsa area down to Wichita Falls. And the big thing that you notice is they're outflow dominant. We can take a closer look at that. And yeah, these boundaries are pushing out about a good 5 or 6 miles ahead of the main downdrafts. The downdrafts are back here. The updraft portion of the storm is out ahead of it. So we can run that loop there, and you can see pretty much no risk of severe weather with these. There could be a hail risk or a wind, but the instability looks to be kind of marginal today. That's pretty much the case all the way down the line here. Tops on these storms. We can just tilt upwards till we overshoot the storm, and we're seeing about 45,000 here. So yeah, that's up there a ways, but we do have a fairly deep troposphere today. So what's causing these? That's of course the first thing we ask here, and yeah, you can definitely see it here on the surface streamlines. So in Texas, we've got this southeasterly wind from the Gulf, and north of that, we've got northerly winds from Canada, so certainly we have a bit of a front from northern Arkansas to the Lubbock area. And you can see there's this convergence of streamlines in this area. So we've got cyclogenesis out around the El Paso area. And of course that's going to bring stronger upslope flow. And when we have upslope flow, that's going to mean clouds and increased chances of rain. And just how strong is that front? We can look at the surface plots, and we'll just bring that up very quickly. And there you go. Not very much of a cold pushback behind it. There's the front right there, and you can see just lots of 60s and 50s. So this is not an Arctic outbreak or anything like that. And south of that, man, it's very warm. It was about 80 degrees when I was shooting that footage earlier, and I had mosquitoes buzzing all around me. Can't wait for winter to get here. Further out west, we can see some negative dew points right here in the valleys of Colorado near Alamosa and around Buena Vista. -6 to -9, we rarely see it that dry. And that's a combination of air starting out already dry in the Intermountain region. Probably has been some recirculated trajectories. And we've seen some adiabatic warming and drying as it's moved across the mountain ranges. So that probably explains a bit of that. And to find the front, we can overlay the potential temperature. And it's a bit smoothed over. To really use these potential temperature lines, you do have to kind of tone down your smoothing. So sometimes I might bring this value way down and try replotting that. And you can see things stand out here a little better. So smoothing is one thing you do have to be careful when you're using these diagnostic tools. But by doing that, yeah, we can pin down the cold front pretty well here. The main potential temperature gradient is back here. I do see a bit of a gradient here, though. So this is where we're going to have to look at the thickness charts to really sort that out. We could also look at soundings to see what the profile looks like and see if there's any cold air aloft. Further out east, though, you can see the potential temperature really stands out. The gradient stands out quite a bit there, so you can pick out the front right away very easily. Okay, let's take that into our forecast, I guess. Let me find my window here. Yeah, NHC. They're calling for a chance of cyclone formation north of Dominica. Let's see where they take that. Okay, well, that's not going to bother anybody. So, let's go to the forecast. I wasn't aware that there was a presidential debate tonight. I didn't expect that of Wednesday of all nights, so I guess I'll probably wrap this up very quickly. And we can get on and check that out here. So let me see if I can stop this animation here and get this sorted out. Okay, here we go. So now we're set on 0Z. So this is 1 hour ago. This is a GFS 6-hour forecast from about 1 o'clock this afternoon. And that thickness gradient stands out very well. So we can certainly use that to place that front roughly like that. And you can see that we're developing some anti-cyclogenesis back in here. we're getting pressure gradients too. So that's going to drive that front on southward. So that's probably going to clear Texas over the next 24 to 36 hours. So we'll run that forward. By the time you check in tomorrow, the map's going to look something like this. Front probably all the way down to the Gulf Coast, and you can see a pretty good push of cold air coming down the backside through the Ozarks and the Mississippi River Valley. At 546 decameter thickness line all the way down to St. Louis. So that indicates probably 30s at nighttime. Maybe 40s during the daytime. So yeah, that's pretty cold air mass. But not much of a push on the high plains. So that's going to be a fairly brief episode of cold air. So by, let's see, where are we at? Saturday at 0Z. Okay, this is Friday night. Bit of a frontal system in the eastern U.S. here, coming up through Boston and Hartford. So it's going to look something like that. There's the cold push coming into the Atlantic seaboard area. And now we're starting to develop southerly flow in the Central Plains right here. So now we're developing warm air advection back over the Central Plains right there. And there's the boundary through the Pacific Northwest, and that should start firming up again here in the next several days. So a cold push out into the northeastern U.S. over the weekend, and warm up in the central U.S., and continued stagnant front across the Rockies, and then we go into next week. Not a whole lot happening, really. Looks like a very slow warm-up for Texas. Kind of a stagnant pattern here. Looks like a couple of weak waves move through the pattern during the work week. And then getting to the end of the forecast period. Let's see, looks like one pretty good outbreak here around Saturday. Then by Halloween, we're looking at this picture. We had talked about a front possibly sinking down into the eastern U.S., and that looks pretty much on track. Otherwise, pretty quiet. Except for the Pacific Northwest, it looks like we've got our next system setting up for Washington and Oregon for the first few days of November there. Pretty good low pressure there out in the Gulf of Alaska. Look at that. There was a 951 millibar low right here. That's on November 2nd, but that's pretty far out. We may or may not see that happen there. But it does look like it's going to get stormy out there in the North Pacific, just as we would expect this time of year. All right, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up so those of you hanging around can get to the debate or whatever. And let me check the chat real quick. A couple comments here about the temperatures in your areas. Yeah, it's been pretty warm. And I guess I'll wrap this up, and I'll see you guys at the same time tomorrow. Thanks for checking in.